Hi, I'm Numbert.
And I'm Paul, and I need a cool name, so if you have any suggestions, please leave one in the comment section below.
And you're watching Battle Gamer News.
Today we're reviewing Dead Space Extraction.
Dead Space Extraction takes place before the events of the original Dead Space.
The plot follows a group of colonists from the Agus 7 colony.
The game gives you a look into how the whole catastrophe started, and also puts a lot more emphasis on characters than just environment. They do some nice tricks with the camera to make you get inside the character's head, and make the whole experience more real.
The environment is phenomenal, really making the game creepy.
Throughout the game, you are constantly questioning whether or not what's happening is real, and with the voices inside your head, or alternate plot lines, it really makes the game more interesting.
One sort of interesting thing they did is you will occasionally get comm chatter through your Wiimote microphone, so you will have to hold it to your ear to hear just like a real headset.
There's also little text logs with backstory, but quite frankly, if they aren't going to go through the trouble of doing voiceovers, I'm not going to go through the trouble of reading them.
The plot is actually surprisingly well realized, and true to Dead Space theme, so the plot gets a 9 out of 10.
The graphics in Dead Space Extraction are not phenomenal, but considering it's on the Wii, it does alright.
The characters in the game are actually pretty well made, especially the major ones.
The environments are pretty cool, but there are some flat textures and repeated objects that can get repetitive.
The AI is decent, although it's a bit too predictable for my tastes.
The particle effects are really bad, and it makes the whole thing seem less realistic.
Overall, the graphics are just average, and definitely could have been better, so the graphics get a 7 out of 10.
The gameplay of Dead Space Extraction is that of a rail shooter, but with much more of an organic and personal feel.
The camera work is great, making it seem much more like an actual person than the sometimes robotic movements of other rail shooters.
There are some occasions in the game where you can look freely, but those are more for exploration and puzzles than combat.
There are several weapons you get along the way, as well as a stasis power that freezes enemies in their tracks.
The combat is actually quite good, and they do some nice tricks with the camera to make it more exciting and less like arcade target practice.
There are a few less interesting sections where you have to do little minigame puzzles, but there aren't very many, so you can speed through them and forget they ever happened.
There's drop-in, drop-out co-op if you want to play with another person, which is surprisingly accessible and fun if you're one of those people with friends.
The gameplay is really good, and stands out among other rail shooters, so the gameplay gets a 9 out of 10. Overall, I really enjoyed Dead Space Extraction, and it's a good addition for Dead Space fans, as well as those looking for a good shooter on the Wii. Overall, we give Dead Space Extraction a really good 8.5 out of 10.
Thanks for watching Battle Gamer News. Subscribe and check back every week for more game reviews.